This basic building blocks, we can make it actually much more interesting. So let's go back to the module and say add set of items. What we want to do now is we want to add a number of items into this list. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and clean up this list because we don't need all this stuff. And now I want to record a test that just does a simple thing, adds one item. So let's say I call this item test, okay? And of course, I can bind this directly to data and then I can change it, or I can start with data, bind it into the field. So you can do many different ways, okay? One way is, hey, I know all the data I'm having. Let's just put that into the interface and bind it into the form. Or the other thing is, let's just fill the form and then I'll make it into data later. Usually, when I do test automation, very often, I mean, the right way is to always come prepared with all the data, but very often I just record away and then I'll just simply change it into data later. And I'm going to show you how you can do this. But what we're going to do is now, we are going to, in this add to do, we're actually going to think of it. Let's say we want to add a number of to-dos, and then we're going to use the group again, which is very, very useful. So I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to click on the group action. And now we could start looping around, right? We could say if some condition, then do this. But we can also call this my to-do, for instance, right? And we say, I'm going to loop over this set with the set of data. So in here, in my for loop, I can actually enter a vector. So here, you could define the vector data, the array data outside. It could be an array, it could be a CSV, it could be something called matrix data. There's a lot of different things you can do here. But the simple thing to remember is just that you could support something like this. Oranges, apples, coconuts, coconuts. Very good, right? So now you have a vector here. So what we're saying is basically create a group that loops over a vector. So we're going to try this. And what we got to do here is to find that kind of group loop keyword. It's actually going to be $group. So what we're going to do in value is we're going to use the thing that makes this into JavaScript. So you use the double left bracket, double right bracket, and then you just put $group. And you see how it auto completes the keyword for us, okay? So now it's kind of in code mode. So what we're doing is we're saying, hey, loop over this vector and use the group keyword, okay? So let's play this and see what happens. Pretty neat, right? So in Boozang, there's many ways you can play around with data. One way is, of course, to define loops in groups. You can also define loops on action level. You can define loops on test level. You can define loops and you can call other tests within loops. But this gives you a feeling on how powerful something like this can be and how simple it is to set up.